Both of us have had a long history of coming to Australia, actually, and meeting lots of families, forming friendships, doing lots of presentations and workshops. And we are continually struck at times by the differences between our countries and our cultures, even though we speak the same language and are part of the same Commonwealth. In that fact, we still don't, there are subtleties to the difference we don't necessarily grasp, of course. And one of those in the Canadian context is the fact that families have been collectively organizing themselves into advocacy organizations for 60+ years, both locally, provincially, or statewide, as well as nationally. And that's provided us the means, in fact, of creating a greater degree of change, families not feeling alone, being able to get shared knowledge and the wisdom and history of families that have preceded them, and to move and advance forward. And we haven't seen that to the same degree in Australia. So the examples we provide of change have really involved and engaged collective action by families. And I think in the Australian context, if that's not the case or not part of the natural culture, then people have to figure out other means. But we're pretty sure if each family has to pursue an inclusive life by their own, even if they had all the individual funding in the world, we're not going to see the social change and the quality of life and inclusion that people are really hoping and dreaming about.
In fact, some of the things that we've learned by being in Australia, which seem quite different than we experience in Canada, and particularly in Alberta, is the separation that seems to go on between individual advocacy and system advocacy, and making those kind of distinctions so sharp that we are kind of puzzled a little bit about why such distinctions are necessary. It seems to us that the kinds of advocacy where we are working individually with families to make a difference for their sons and daughters is actually something that needs to be addressed not only for that one individual, but how does that give us good lessons for changing something larger like the school system or the social service system or whatever. So for us, we would see that advocacy where we can bring families together, collectively help them share their strategies, not only for their individual benefits, but for how that will benefit the kids, the adults around them beyond their own circumstances.